How do you complete a small financial survey? First, access the local government resource center found at resources.auditor.utah.gov and download the small financial survey on the Forms page. Open the Excel document and click Enable Editing. You'll see 3 worksheets at the bottom. The Instructions worksheet provides explanations for each red numbered row on the balance sheet and income statement. To ensure you don't make a mistake and receive a warning letter from our office, make sure you spend 5 minutes every year reading the instructions. Let's start on the balance sheet. First, enter your entity name. We'll be the Cute Conservation District for this example. Second, enter your fiscal year end, typically December 31st for local and special service districts, or June 30th for municipalities. We'll use a calendar year end of December 31st, 2019. When you enter the information in the yellow rows, it's automatically populated in the balance sheet and income statement. Now let's get down to business on the balance sheet. Imagine someone took a snapshot of your entity's bank accounts, assets you own, and liabilities you owe on the last day of the fiscal year, in this case, December 31st, 2019. That's what the balance sheet illustrates, what your entity looks like on this specific day. Let's start on the assets section. The Cute Conservation District's bank statement showed its checking account had $2,000 in cash. If your entity has a savings account or multiple checking and savings accounts, or cash that isn't yet deposited, or a PTIF account, you'd enter the sum of all of them here. Our district also has a PTIF, or Public Treasurer's Investment Fund account balance, of $20,000. We'll sum these together and enter $22,000 on the cash line. We don't own any land or buildings, but as a conservation district, we do own some equipment. It cost us $2,000 to purchase office equipment in our first year of operation, which was 2019. If your entity has existed for more than 1 year, you would sum the cost of all the equipment you've purchased over the years. The equipment we purchased is expected to have a 10-year life, so we'll use the straight line depreciation method to have $200 of depreciation every year for 10 years. Since this is the first year, our accumulated depreciation will just be $200. Make sure you enter depreciation as a negative number, otherwise your balance sheet won't balance. If we don't purchase any additional equipment, our accumulated depreciation next year will be $400. See our depreciation brief explanation on the Local Gov Resource Center for more information. Now we see our cash plus equipment minus accumulated depreciation equals total assets of $23,800. Now let's look at the liabilities section. Most conservation districts don't have debt, and since our district paid all of its bills before December 31st, we'll leave payables blank. Now let's look at the fund balance section. The capital assets line is sometimes tricky. This number is simply the net of all the numbers in the capital assets subsection. So we can highlight all 4 rows and see that Excel calculated the sum of 2,000 and negative 200 as 1,800. Now all we need to enter is the cash balances. If we had any grant money that needed to be spent by law for a certain purpose that hadn't been spent yet, we would put that amount here. Any amounts we've formally designated for use for a certain project, we could enter in committed. And anything else would be considered unassigned, or on this form, unrestricted. We'll consider all our cash unrestricted and enter $22,000 here. Now you can see that our $23,800 of total liabilities and fund balance matches our $23,800 of total assets. This means our balance sheet balances, which is confirmed by our check figure line not showing a red value, which would indicate how far off we are from balancing. If we subtract $10,000 from our unrestricted amount, we'll see that the check figure tells us we're missing $10,000. We've now completed our balance sheet for the year ending December 31st, 2019. Let's move on to the income statement. We can see on line 37 that the check figure line for the income statement now has the $23,800 value from the balance sheet. This line will ensure we correctly complete the income statement. Before we go on, remember that the income statement illustrates everything that happened during the year, unlike the balance sheet, which is simply a snapshot of the last day of the fiscal year. Okay, on to the revenue section. Conservation District's main source of revenue is an appropriation that comes from the state, so we'll type state appropriation here and enter $12,000. We'll also add donations of $190. Remember that if you have a MEG account, you likely earned interest, so we'll enter $10 of interest. That brings our total revenues to $12,200. Now to expenses. We pay a district clerk $100 per month, which totals $1,200 per year. It took $10,000 of materials to complete our projects for 2019, so we'll enter that under supplies and materials. For miscellaneous repair and maintenance, we spent $300. Now, because on our balance sheet we have a capital asset that is depreciating $200 every year, we'll enter $200 of depreciation expense for 2019. This brings our total expenses to $11,700. Because this is less than our total revenues of $12,200, we had a net income of $500 for the year, which is added to our ending fund balance. Now we need to enter the beginning fund balance on January 1st, 2019, which is also known as the prior year ending fund balance. In this case, this value would be the ending fund balance of our 2018 balance sheet ending December 31st, 2018. Because we don't have a 2018 ending fund balance, and 2019 is the first year of operation for our district, we'll enter $23,300. If when you enter your previous year ending fund balance, a check figure value appears in line 37, several problems may have occurred. See the income statement line 37 explanation on the instructions sheet for a list of possible issues. We can see that our beginning balance of $23,300 plus the $500 of net income for the year sums to an ending fund balance of $23,800. There are certainly other sources of income that other entities receive, like property taxes, or other debt like a CIB loan, but this example provides you the principles you need to understand to complete the small financial survey. Before we end, let's review how to account for funds in a capital projects fund. If your entity perpetually retains earnings each year, your entity's fund balance will grow closer to your fund balance limitation required by law. How do you ensure you stay within the limit? You either spend the money, or you account for the money in a capital projects fund. See our fund balance limits and capital projects funds digital shorts for more info. Okay, let's take $5,000 from our general fund cash total and account for it in the capital projects cash line here. For that money to be accounted for here on the balance sheet at the end of the year, we would have needed to complete a transfer during the year, which the income statement would show. On the income statement, we'll enter a revenue of $5,000 on the capital projects fund transfers from other funds line. Then we'll enter an expense of $5,000 on the general fund transfers to other funds line. Now our balance sheet shows a general fund red check figure value of -$5,000 and a capital projects fund red check figure value of +$5,000. To fix the general fund check figure line, we'll reduce the general fund unrestricted fund balance by $5,000. And now to fix the capital projects fund check figure line, we'll enter $5,000 in the capital projects fund balance. Finally, let's double check our income statement. In the Capital Projects Fund, we have a revenue of $5,000 with no expenses for a net income of $5,000. We'll enter 0 on the beginning balance since the Capital Projects Fund did not have a prior year ending fund balance. Now, in the General Fund, with the additional $5,000 transfer, we see we experienced a loss of $4,500, reducing our ending fund balance to $18,800, which also matches on the balance sheet. Now that our financial survey is complete, we can save it on our computer, then upload it to the State Reporting System website.